This is 12 Months in a Hammock, July edition. So last night I slept in the Hammock Bliss single hammock, and overall my sleep was pretty good, but I think I'm starting to think that the gathered in hammocks, the nylon ones, are basically like the same thing when you're buying them from each company for comfort wise. When you're buying like the single, the double, the triple size hammocks from companies like Hammock Bliss, Grand Trunk, Ticket to the Moon, stuff like that. Unless you're gonna go with something like a bias where you get to tell them your size and weight and they make a custom fit hammock to you. They're basically the same comforts depending on the size of it. The main thing that changes between them is the suspension system, which is a big deal because depending on what you have for suspension, you could go to bed and wake up sagging down on the ground because it's too stretchy, or you could have a perfect sleep with the right suspension system. So last night I also used the Sky Tent, which is what I'm in right now. I'll give you kind of a look around. As you can see, the tarp and the mesh are kind of attached together there. There's a ridge line that goes across the top for the tarp, and I kind of just use that to hang up some of my gear. I got my headlamp, my watch, camera case, stuff like that. This hammock is made for 2 people. I'm sleeping on the 2nd level, so on the end there is 2 spots for a hammock to enter in. I'm on the 2nd one, and if I'll move down here, you can see there's a bottom entrance there as well. So far I haven't been able to get 2 hammocks in here perfectly where one person on top isn't kind of squishing the person on the bottom, but I think if you have it set up in the perfect scenario, distance between trees and stuff like that, it will probably work, but it won't be the most comfortable sleep. There's a couple ways you can set up this tarp bug netting system on the Sky Tent. One is to have it hanging up off the ground, which is really high, and that's what you have to do with the double person, and the second person kind of has to jump in. The other is how I have it now. I have it kind of low, so the bottom material part is on the ground, and I used it to store all of my gear and my boots, everything like that, which is a great feature if you're trying to keep everything off the ground, out of the rain, and nice and dry and accessible here for you. So overall, my sleep in this hammock was pretty good. I was pretty comfortable. I didn't have any complaints. I didn't have any sore back, no sore legs. There was plenty of space. I didn't find myself to be rolling out of the hammock at all. So I think it's good. They make another hammock that's a 2-tone color, and the way that works is there'll be a sewed in different material of hammock, or different colors, sorry, I say material, down the sides. And I'm going to show you that one a little bit later, and how I prefer to have the one piece of material opposed to the 2 different materials to give you the double tone color effect. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so I'm going to set up the Hammock Bliss Sky Tent.
go. Now I'm going to set up the Hammock Bliss single hammock. Okay, so I got one hammock you saw me set up, but I set up another one as well off camera. Both of them are Hammock Bliss hammocks. Hammock Bliss uses this nylon string suspension system, and the way that you do that is you tie it into a bow around your tie-off point. They also have these suspension kind of like expansion kit things where you can buy, and it's just a piece of webbing to make it so you can tie your hammock off at farther apart points. I find you have to use this pretty much in every circumstance unless you're just hanging out in the hammock for fun. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to set this up this way. I find, like, when you got the webbing wrapped around the tree, then you're trying to tie off these points onto it, the webbing falls up and down, and then you're trying to tie your knots and get everything going. But I guess it's not a big deal, but it can be kind of irritating. So I had to use that system for both. So for this one I had to use a rope suspension kit that I have that comes with the Tickets to the Moon setup, and so I just tied that off here with a bow knot. So that's why I got 2 hammocks in there now, and I'll go in and show you in a minute what it's like with the double hammock. I just want to continue here with the Sky Tent. The way it works is you put the hammock through this little hole that they have in the netting, and then you can cinch it closed with this piece here, the draw cord. So it goes on both. But I find when you get in it, because it's this nylon rope suspension, it spreads it apart, and then there's a little hole in between here, and you can't avoid it. So that kind of sucks for mosquitoes and stuff like that. And in addition to that, when you're in it, there's a hole here that I guess bugs and stuff you get into. And also for the tarp, it's got one nylon cord that goes across that you tie off at 2 points, and that supports your tarp and your bug net. It's got adjustable knot here, so you can loosen or tighten it. I got it tight now, so I can't really loosen it, but when it's loose you can move this string up and down to adjust the tautness of the tarp. You can see there's about 2 inches of space between the tarp and the bug net, which I don't think is enough, but we'll get back to that. The tie-out corners for the tarp, they got a little rope here that you tie out to the ends there. There's 4 of those, and to get in, there's one zipper that zips almost halfway, and it's 2 zippers that you can use on both ends, and you just climb in. Yeah, so you just climb in. I'll start in the bottom one here. Sit in here, take my flip-flops off, grab the zipper. So you do have to have it completely unzipped before getting in. It's the same as most stuff, because you don't want to tear the bug net or anything like that. The one thing I'll say for sure though is I haven't been able to get it to a point where I can fit 2 people comfortably. What always happens is this top person, their hammock is so taut that it's not comfortable for them up top, and then it comes down and it's like right on your face. You see I can even pull it down, and I got it pretty high up there, like the comparison is almost touching the tarp on the top. So I'm not really sure how to set it up so 2 people can be in here comfortably. 1 person for sure, there's tons of space, it's really comfortable. You feel like you're inside a tent for sure. You don't feel like you're sitting in like a small hammock or anything like that. You got so much space. There's pockets all around, like it's one big pocket here, and like it's a large pocket, like you can fit books and whatever you need. There's another pocket over there as well. I guess if you have someone up there, you can each have your own pocket. But yeah, I like it, and I don't like it. It's 50-50. Like, I think if it rains, you're going to be in some trouble because there's not enough space for the tarp to go away from the bug net. So you're going to get, if the rain's blowing from one direction, it's definitely going to soak the bug net. And I mean, I guess that's not a big deal, but it's might come through and get you wet as well if it's a hard rain and starts soaking your gear. So that would be a big deal. Another thing is if it rains and you're stuck in your hammock for a few hours or something, there's no way of you starting a fire or cooking some food or anything like that, which is a huge issue because I know everybody likes to have their breakfast and their coffee and stuff like that just sitting in their hammocks. So there's no really way you can do it. I'll show you. So if I opened up this, I would have to like stretch my hand out at least this far so the bug net doesn't catch, and then the rain will come down, it'll be hitting it, so I wouldn't have tarp coverage for a small fire, because normally you can just start something up right next to you and your tarp goes way down over there across, so you don't have to worry about your stuff getting wet. So unfortunately, I think that's the biggest issue for this particular setup. is the tarp coverage in comparison to the bug net. I mean, I think the space of the bug net when you're inside is amazing, and it's just, if the tarp was just a couple feet longer or wider, I think it would make a huge difference. So that's one of the major issues I think in this system. As far as the Sky Tent goes though, it's not that hard to set up. You saw before, it just took me a couple minutes. I mean, and when you consider how big the bag is, you got your bug net and your tarp inside of it, it's not that big, I don't think, in comparison to some systems. If it was like a sill tarp or something like that, if they switched that over to that type of material, I think that would make a huge difference in terms of pack size. But I don't think they're planning to do that anytime soon. Now, as for the hammocks that they make, I have two single hammocks here, two different kind of styles. So the one that I'm in right now is one piece of hammock material. I prefer this one as I find it way more comfortable. I think this, you can spread out better. It's just your basic single style parachute gathered in hammock. I said before earlier when I was sleeping in this system that I find in single hammocks, parachute gathered end, I find when you get it from one company, it's going to be the same from the next company to the next company, just for the gathered end single style hammocks. The difference is when you start to get to the more technical things, like longer style hammocks, so like 11-foot hammocks, or hammocks that have bug nets that can be attached to it, different upgrades that you can do. You can make it wider, thinner, things like that. That's when you really get to the specialty type hammocks. But when you're going for the Eno, the Hammock Bliss, the Ticket to the Moon, the Grand Trunk, stuff like that, your single style hammocks are all going to be basically the same as far as comfort goes. Now, the one thing I will mention is the difference for comfort for me is this double color material. Now you'll see up here, to separate the two colors, you obviously have to have stitching. And now I find that to be really uncomfortable with the stitching. So that's not just Hammock Bliss though, that's every company that has the double color. So let me climb up into that one and we'll take a look what it's like. Okay, here we go. Second layer. Ooh, a little shaky. Okay, so I'm in the second level here now. The second level is a little nicer, I think. If I was going to sleep with someone, I'd be here, because the guy underneath is definitely the one who's going to get squished. Now, as I was saying, with the double color material, you got the threading here. Now, this threading, I find I always get pressure point on my arm or my neck or whatever part of me is touching that threading, so that really decreases the comfort level for me. Now again, let me specify that this isn't just something for Hammock Bliss. Every company that has the two color pattern, I find this piece of threading is not comfortable for me. It has the pressure point, it really, you can feel it wherever part of your body's on, if your back, your shoulder, your neck, whatever, you can really feel that. Now, I don't know if this is just me, because I don't think I've heard that mentioned before in other reviews, but definitely for me, that would be a reason to not want to use the hammock. So if you are going to go for a hammock from any of those companies that make that in Hammock Bliss, I will go for the one piece of material and avoid just the style of the two color hammock material. But yeah, overall their hammocks, again, are just a standard single hammocks. They're really comfortable. The material is great. I didn't notice any real defects or loose threading in them or anything like that, which is always a plus, because you don't want to get into a system and find out, hey, there's threads everywhere, you don't have confidence in sleeping in it, and you can't relax when you climb in it for the night. So they do a great job for that. Another thing I really don't like I mentioned earlier, was the suspension systems. I'm not a big fan of just the shoestring suspension system is what I call it, because you have two pieces of rope and you usually always have to tie it into the bow knot. And for me, I don't know why, I just find it more difficult to set up. I know it's going to get saturated in water. It just overall isn't something I would pick. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. You can always trade that out. It's not a hard upgrade, but yeah, it's something that I don't particularly like. I know DD also has that system, and that's one of the things I didn't like about them as well. So yeah, if you're looking for something where you can double up in, maybe have your kid on top and you can sleep on the bottom, this would be a cool setup. It's good. I think it's good if you know it's not going to rain. I slept in the woods. I was by myself. I thought it was really outstanding in terms of comfort. I used the bottom as the storage area, but when you set it up higher, obviously you can't do that. And for sure, if you have two people, you have to set it up higher because the bottom person is almost touching that bottom material when they're sleeping. So for sure, if you're going to have a double person in here, double occupancy, that's something you have to consider. I mean, I guess if you're on a trail and there's someone sleeping in a tent, you could rent out the top part to them or something and charge like $10 to sleep in the upper half when they're uncomfortable on the ground. But yeah, it's a cool system, really neat idea. I like the idea. I think that they're going to have to probably come out with a Sky Tent 3. This is the second version, and continually be upgrading and improving it. But I think they have a good concept, and if they keep going with this idea and they have good momentum, they're willing to make changes, then it's going to be a great product in the future. So I did get it a little bit of rain on the Sky Tent, but as you can see, it beads up pretty nicely. But it didn't get the bug net wet, which is good. It wasn't pouring or anything, but still pretty good. So passed one rain test, but I definitely, like you can see here, if I really think if there was you'd be in a little more trouble. Okay, so that's it for the Sky Tent. Now I'm going to set up the Hammock Bliss bug net. Okay, so I got it set up. My camera cut out right at the end, so you didn't see me just do that last tie on, but no big deal. So here we go. The Hammock Bliss bug net is pretty nice. It's got the same concept of the Sky Tent here, where you cinch down the bug netting around where the suspension is. It's got 2 tie outs that go out to your tie on point. And there's the second tie out. You can see there's 2 big pockets here on both sides. I'm going to climb in real quick. So it is starting to rain on me again. I'll show you what it looks like inside. So once you get in, you just zip yourself down. And you can see you got lots of space with the bug netting off of you. This is really great with the Hammock Bliss products. I mean, I really find that sometimes you get really comfortable inside like a single no-net hammock, and there's nothing you can do about it. But for this one, you can just purchase their bug netting. You got lots of space. Now you have storage with the pockets that you can access on both sides. It's really great, fantastic. I would definitely recommend it. I don't see any complaints really for this product. There's no loose threads. There's perfect seamstressing, and overall great.